Listen, every time you give in to the easy dopamine hit in private, you're casting a vote for the person you're becoming. And here's the uncomfortable truth nobody wants to say. If you can't control yourself when nobody's watching, you don't have discipline. You have the illusion of discipline. That urge you just gave into, that wasn't about sex. That was your brain testing whether you're actually in control, and you just failed the test. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You're sitting there telling yourself just this once, knowing full well you said that yesterday and the day before. You've got goals. Hit the gym, build the business, talk to that girl. But when the urge hits at 11 p.m., you fold like a cheap suit. Then you wake up the next morning feeling that brain fog, that subtle shame, that emptiness. You tell yourself it's no big deal, but deep down you know the truth. You can't even control yourself in a room by yourself. How are you supposed to control your life? The gym gets skipped. The business plan sits unopened. She never gets approached. Because the same brain that can't resist 5 minutes of pixels can't resist the snooze button, the junk food, the excuse. This isn't about morality. This is about control. And right now, you don't have it. Here's what nobody tells you about this. I spent 2 years studying impulse control, dopamine regulation, and behavioral psychology, not for internet points, to fix my own broken discipline system. What I'm about to give you isn't bro science about superpowers or retention magic. This is the neuroscience of impulse control, using this as your training ground. Because if you can master the hardest discipline test, resisting when your brain is screaming and nobody's watching, everything else becomes easier. In the next 3 minutes, I'm going to give you the exact 5-step system to turn this weakness into your discipline foundation. This isn't about shame or morality lectures. This is about building a brain that doesn't fold when urges hit. Master this, and you'll have the control system that makes everything else possible. 1. Recognize the discipline test. You think this is about urges. It's about whether you can sit with discomfort without escaping. Every time you delay gratification, you strengthen prefrontal cortex pathways for impulse control. Every time you give in, you strengthen the seek immediate relief pathway. Your brain doesn't compartmentalize. Weak discipline here means weak discipline everywhere. So when the urge hits, set a 10-minute timer. Say out loud, this is a discipline test. Physically move to a different room. Break the environment trigger connection. Do 20 push-ups or cold water face splash. Redirect the arousal energy. Skip this reframe and you'll keep treating it as a bad habit instead of the core discipline indicator it is. This isn't a sex problem. This is a control problem. 2. Weaponize the urge window. Most people try to avoid triggers. You need to use the urge as training stimulus. Urge surfing shows that cravings peak at 15 to 20 minutes, then naturally decline. The goal isn't to eliminate urges. It's to prove to your brain that you can feel them without acting. This is exposure therapy for your discipline system. When the urge hits, rate it 1 to 10. Watch it like a scientist watching a wave. Don't fight. Just observe. Track in your notes app. Time. Intensity. What you did instead. Celebrate lasting 20 minutes like you celebrate a gym PR. Try to suppress or avoid, and the urge owns you. You're running from yourself. Strong men feel urges and choose anyway. Weak men feel urges and fold. 3. Install the 24-hour identity lock. You rely on willpower in the moment instead of pre-made decisions. Decision fatigue research shows willpower depletes throughout the day. If you're deciding whether to give in during the urge, you've already lost. You need an identity commitment made when your prefrontal cortex is strong in the morning, not when it's depleted at night. Every morning I am someone who controls his impulses. Identity, not goal. Set a daily check-in alarm at 9 p.m. Your danger window. Pre-commit to a replacement action. If urge hits after 9 p.m., I do this specific alternative. No negotiation. No just this once. You decided this morning. Leave it up to nighttime you and he'll betray morning you every single time. You don't rise to the occasion. You fall to your pre-made decisions. 4. Track the discipline compound effect. You don't see the connection between private control and public performance. Self-control is like a muscle with cross-domain transfer. Building discipline in one area, especially high-temptation areas, strengthens your entire self-regulation system. Most people don't track this, so they never see the pattern. Days you control this equal days you show up everywhere else. Create a simple spreadsheet. Date, controlled impulse, yes or no. Gym, work quality, social courage. Rate each area 1 to 5 daily. Review weekly. You'll see the correlation. Most people quit because they don't see the compounding. You'll have proof. Without data, you'll think your gym motivation and discipline are unrelated. You'll miss the pattern. Discipline isn't siloed. Control in private becomes control everywhere. 5. Build the accountability firewall. You're only accountable to yourself, which means you're accountable to nobody. Social accountability research shows commitment devices with external witnesses increase follow-through by 65%. But here's the key. This isn't about confessing details. It's about having someone who checks if you're executing your control system. Shame keeps this private. Control makes it a tracked metric. Find one person, friend, brother, accountability partner. Say, I'm training impulse control. Check in weekly. Share your tracking data. Not details, just the yes or no. Create stakes. $50 to charity for every week you don't track. Frame as discipline training, not confession booth. Stay isolated and your brain knows there's zero external consequence for folding. Hidden habits control you. Tracked behaviors bow to you. Look, this isn't a 5-step challenge you do for 30 days then quit. This is about becoming someone who doesn't negotiate with his own brain. Someone who can feel the pull and stay anchored. Most men walk through life controlled by whatever urge screams loudest. You're building something different. A nervous system that doesn't fold under pressure. Private discipline becomes public performance. The man who can sit with discomfort in private is the same man who approaches the girl, launches the business, and doesn't quit when it's hard. This is your foundation. Build it right. Comment I control my impulses if you're done being controlled by urges. Not because you're perfect, because you're committed to the training. And if you're serious about building the discipline system that makes everything else possible, subscribe to this channel. This is where weak men come to build themselves into someone they actually respect. New video every week. Let's build.